Tupac took Death Row to the next level. I mean, we worked hard and we laid the foundation down, and Snoop took the baton, he ran with it, and he did a great job with it.
In the second part of The Trap of Death Row, we want to establish that Suge Knight also bears direct responsibility for Tupac's death, and that he was never truly Tupac's friend, even when it might have seemed that way to Tupac at times. He always exploited him, and the more dangerous it was for Tupac, the more advantageous it was for Suge Knight. Welcome to the Top Art Legends. Let's get started. When Tupac joined Death Row, he left behind almost all of his friends who had tried, with varying degrees of success, to restrain his behavior. Among them were Watani Tiahimba, Karen Lee, Man Man, and even his wife, Keisha, whom he later divorced.
I was with him through some very, difficult times throughout his life, and I was basically his backbone. He confided in me.
Yasmin Fula, who was one of the few old friends who remained close to Tupac, says that he was out of his element. It was a completely different soldier mentality. He was fascinated by it because of the absence of a male figure who could say, "Leave it alone."
Tupac was among other youngsters. You could really distinguish him between anyone else that was in the room. You can look at him and see that this person was actually destined to be something in life.
He was always looking for a father, Watani Tiahimba says. In me some, in Mutulu some. But what he missed was one father with the good and the bad, not a composite. When Tupac encountered the man who claimed to be his father, Billy Garland, who materialized by Tupac's hospital bed in New York after he was shot in the lobby of Times Square, this meeting failed to satisfy him. Many believed that it was in Suge Knight, especially when they saw them together.
Tupac loved Death Row. Tupac loved me, I loved him.
The slender, light young man shadowed by the massive body of another, the one all animation, the other exuding authority, that he found that connection. Tupac and Knight seemed almost inseparable for several months after Tupac's release from prison. They worked together extensively in the studio, and after work, they socialized.
And he was the most hardest worker and the best work I ever seen in the studio in my whole entire life.
One of Tupac's friends recalls how they would sing the song from the movie Gridlocked soundtrack together.
Strong will appeal, nigga, you'll be free. Down with you to the very end, cause you ain't never had a friend like me.
However, all of this was an illusion deliberately created for Tupac by the cunning Suge Knight. Suge never had genuine love for Tupac. He simply viewed Pac as a cash cow. It's worth adding that the bail for Tupac was actually posted not by Suge Knight himself, but by David Kenner, Jimmy Iovine, and Time Warner. However, due to the potential public backlash, Suge became the face of the deal, all without spending a penny on Tupac. Therefore, there are many questions about why Suge Knight compelled Tupac to go to Las Vegas on that fateful day, leading to his death. There are several glaring coincidences. Tupac had fired David Kenner, whom he accused of defrauding him, and Kenner was a business partner with Suge Knight. Prior to this, Suge Knight deliberately stirred up conflict between Tupac and Bad Boy Records, promoting the narrative that they were responsible for his friend's death.
You claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife. We bust on bad boys, niggas fuck for life.
However, for Suge Knight, this was purely for financial gain. All these coincidences ultimately led to the tragedy. Later, Tupac's accusations that he was being deceived by pseudo-friends were repeatedly validated. The platinum producer and former friend of Tupac, Delray Richardson, in one of his interviews, revealed how the record company Death Row repeatedly deceived Tupac by not paying him approximately $17 million before his death in 1996. He also mentioned numerous companies and individuals who benefited from the success of Tupac. According to Richardson, it was confirmed that Tupac and the major record label Death Row Records never actually signed a contract for ownership rights to Tupac's songs and albums.
Most of my music is like that. If you look back over past albums, I just try to speak about things that affect me and about things that affect our community. And I try to do it from a viewpoint of the watcher. Sometimes I'm the watcher, sometimes I'm the participant.
In 1996, the company released what is arguably Pac's best album, All Eyes on Me, shortly before his death.
If you got it, better flown it. Another one, two of America's most wanted.
Del Rey reminded that before Tupac's death, Death Row owed him an astounding sum of $17 million from album sales. However, due to the absence of a written contract, the rapper was never able to receive the deserved payment. After Tupac's death in the same year, his mother, Afeni Shakur, won a legal victory, compelling Death Row Records and 2 other companies to cease the illegal sale of materials related to Tupac.
I always wanted people to understand that Tupac was an artist, and I always wanted them to appreciate him as an artist, as a true artist.
She believed that Death Row had cheated her son in royalty payments and hired an auditor to conduct an independent examination of the label's financial statements. The accusations again stemmed from an unusual 3-page handwritten contract signed while Shakur was in prison in 1995. This dispute highlighted how contract terms for artists are often distorted in favor of record companies. Even if Tupac had recorded additional albums, sources claim that he likely would have remained in debt for many years. This confirms the fact that Suge had everything perfectly planned.
If God wanted me to be this person and be happy here, he wouldn't let me feel so oppressed. He wouldn't let me feel so trampled on. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't let me think the things I think. So I feel like I'm doing God's work.
Tupac was one of the most successful artists in the music business, and yet somehow, on the day he died, he had absolutely nothing to show for it, said New York attorney Richard Fishbein, who along with Afeni Shakur is co-administrator of the rap star's estate. We believe that Death Row withheld royalty payments from Tupac and failed to deliver many of the advances promised under his contract. Fishbein also complained that Shakur did not have proper representation when signing the deal. According to Fishbein, the rapper was represented by Kenner, who at the time was also an attorney for Knight and Death Row, creating a conflict of interest. This contract is not like any other agreement I've ever seen in my life, Fishbein said. It's nothing but toilet paper.
What's it mean for you to be here with Death Row?
It means that I have to give my 110%. All the rappers under me can give their 110%. Should give his 110%, and that's what makes Death Row, Death Row.
The deal, which granted Death Row the right to release up to 4 albums, involved a series of promised advances to Shakur, many of which, according to Fishbein, the rapper never received. At the same time, a representative from Death Row denied any wrongdoing, attributing the rapper's debts to his own extravagant habits. However, as Fishbein pointed out, Death Row, at that time, had not provided the necessary books to allow for an independent audit.
Tupac had to. He would have not gotten out of jail if he did not sign this agreement.
Returning to Tupac's friend's interview, Richardson's account becomes even more complicated when he reveals that Death Row's head, Suge Knight, not only withheld Tupac's rightful earnings, but also used a portion of the funds to cover expenses related to other artists on the label. He provided examples. The company spent over $50,000 on a Range Rover for Michelle, paid the mortgage for the mansion of Tupac's lawyer, David Kenner, and contributed to child support payments for Nate Dogg's child, all from funds intended for Tupac. However, Death Row's dealings regarding Tupac went even further, as Richardson pointed out that the label had entered into an agreement with the clothing manufacturer Globex to create and sell merchandise under the names of prominent artists. Still, Shakur never gave the company permission to use his rights. Pac intervened promptly by firing David Kenner.
I would describe Tupac as an extraordinary human being who was very ordinary.
After Tupac's death, his mother was able to restore some semblance of justice and protect her son's legacy. In conclusion of this sad story, it seems that Death Row's actions have become clear to everyone. This narrative only underscores how, by entering into an agreement with Tupac, Suge Knight exposed him to risks and constant jeopardy, all while reaping financial dividends.
And he represented Death Row. Because one thing about Pac, he loved Death Row more. He probably loved Death Row more than me. And that's saying a lot.
If it weren't for the fact that he compelled Tupac to go to Vegas, a place Tupac had no desire to be, Tupac might still be alive. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell. You can also write a comment in the comment section down below where you can give your opinion about Suge Knight and his relationship with Tupac. See you later on the Top Art Legends.